it was just my leg. My leg gave away, and it was really annoying. He hit my perineal nerve, so that's why my footwork was compromised.
Going into his fight with Israel Adesanya at UFC 281, the question for many was how would Alex Perreira's brutish punching power match up with Israel Adesanya's slicker skills. However, whilst it would be true to say that there was a ruggedness to how Perreira fought, it would also be true to say he fought in a more tactical and cerebral way than many would have given him credit for going into the fight. To understand why it was surprising that Perreira used the tactics that he used, you have to go back to his kickboxing career. During his kickboxing career, especially at the start, Perreira used a significant boxing emphasis. In one of his most notable bouts, Jason Wilness trash-talked Perreira, saying he was just a boxer, not a true kickboxer. That was before he dropped Wilness with a head kick and finished him with a flying knee. Despite his performance against Wilness, Perreira was still generally regarded as more of a threat with punches, with some citing his fights against Artem Vakitov, where he took a number of leg kicks. I said myself on this channel that I thought Perreira was the favourite on the feet, but to be honest, I imagined him stepping inside more often and taking the fight to Adesanya more at boxing range. Whilst Perreira may have had success fighting in the way that I, and I think many others imagined, it would also have created many potential problems. Firstly, stepping into boxing range would have exposed Perreira to Adesanya's kicks. Perreira himself cautioned his own corner against pursuing Adesanya too recklessly at the end of the first round, though he obviously was cutting off the ring. The obvious factor is that in a potentially 25-minute striking-based MMA fight, there may be more to think Perreira would have been happy to contest the fight at long range. Firstly, if you look at their first two kickboxing fights, you will see there are many exchanges where they fall into the clinch. Considering that Adesanya has significantly more MMA experience, it would have been shrewd for Perreira to avoid the clinch and the ground, where they would take a more liberal attitude towards trips and throws, and sometimes score them. So it was no surprise to see Adesanya take Perreira down from the clinch. The other potential reason why Perreira may have wanted to contest much of the fight at the range he did is to make it harder for Adesanya to shoot. Kicking in MMA is a double-edged sword when it comes to defending takedowns. On the one hand, a kick may potentially expose you to a takedown directly. On the other hand, kicking range is too far for a wrestler to shoot. Six-time kickboxing world champion Gabriel Varga has this to say about kicking range in relation to punches.
If I am executing a round kick and I'm landing even with my mid-shin and I lean my head back just a tiny bit, the counter punch, cannot land.
If you take this together with what wrestling expert Chael Sonnen has to say about shooting distance.
If I put my hand out and I cannot touch your shoulder or your forehead, there is no point in me changing elevation and penetrating a forward motion. You're too far away and I'm not going to get there.
Obviously, Chael is talking about touching rather than punching there, but the same principle applies. Adesanya did try to work for a single leg at one point, and may potentially have shot on Perreira if he felt comfortable. Taking all these factors together, by engaging Adesanya at kicking range, I believe Perreira essentially weaponized Adesanya's go-to tactics against him. It's for the aforementioned reasons of avoiding the clinch and keeping things at kicking range that I think Adesanya has been fighting the way he has. He is often a superior striker looking to avoid the clinch in the ground. Perreira trained for some of this fight in Holland and likely got in some solid sparring to prepare for a kickboxer of Adesanya's caliber. Having a game plan is one thing, and executing it is a different thing. He still needed to take Adesanya's legs out, which ultimately made him an immobile target. Going forward, it will be interesting to see how each fighter approaches a rematch. I believe Perreira had a decision and a KO in mind equally for this fight. If you look at his behaviour at the end of the second round, going for a last-minute takedown is typical of someone trying to steal the round. If they fight again, I think he might be more confident in his prospect of getting a KO and take more chances. As for Adesanya, I expect him to work on his leg kick defense and be more proactive in getting the fight to the ground. Let me know how you see a fourth fight going. I guess you can't completely discount the possibility Adesanya will be the slicker fighter on the feet in a fourth fight, even though I personally think it's unlikely.